I am Stephen Benton. I want to thank you for tuning in. Today is an interesting day. It's the first I Ching timeless message reading that I'm going to give. These are free of charge, and I think that they could be very enlightening and helpful to you wherever you are at in your life. So it doesn't matter when this reading has been published. Don't even consider that in your process. Each reading is numbered and it has a title. And if you're drawn to the title for some reason, there's probably a reason why you've come to this particular video. There are messages here, timeless messages that could assist you in your process and moving forward. Maybe you're in a stuck place. Maybe you've got some confusion about an upcoming decision. Maybe you just need some perspective and some guidance to help you on a particular situation. So as I share the ideas that come up in this reading, it's helpful if you can consider whatever is the most paramount consideration in your mind right now. Okay, whatever that happens to be. If that's, hey, my cat's chewing on the cord. If the consideration is about a relationship, or if it's about finances or a career move or a health concern, what have you, whatever your main concern is, whatever your main consideration is right now in this present moment, then think about that as the information is shared. So I became introduced to the I Ching back in the 1990s from my dear friend Richard, who's since passed away. The I Ching, when I was first introduced to this divination process that comes to us from China in about 1000 BC was when it was rediscovered. It's very foreign, particularly because it comes from a different culture, because it comes from a completely different time on Earth when people thought differently. So to understand its concepts has been a little bit of a learning curve for me, but there are simplifications that I'll try to give as I read the information so that it'll make better sense to you. Some of the information will not be very clear, but that's okay. Don't get stuck on it. What's important will resonate and stay with you, and make a note of it. The other idea I want to present is when you receive this information, when the timeless messages come through and some of the messages really begin to speak to you, it's helpful if you can, throughout your day, throughout the week, throughout the month, or whatever the time frame is that you're going to apply this message, really consider the message and how it relates to your life experience. It can bring up a lot of different perspectives and new understanding. And so as you contemplate the messages that are going to come through today more and more, the wisdom and the insight will go deeper and deeper. Essentially, that's the message I want you to have. So, without further ado, okay, I'm back, and the timeless message that I received, I already threw the coins. I usually use 3 silver dollars that my dear friend Eric gave to me. These are old Morgan silver dollars. These are the ones that I use to do, I'm going to drop this light down a little bit, see if it's, yeah, that's maybe a little bit nicer. So I hold these in my hand, I shake them, I think about the question, and then I release them, and then I read them. Tails are 3, heads are 2. It's arbitrary there. You can assign either a 3 or 2 to either side. So you have an option of having perhaps a 6, a 7, an 8, or a 9. You throw these 3 coins 6 times, and then that gives you a hexagram. A hexagram is 6 lines. They're comprised of 2 trigrams. There's 3 lines on the top and 3 lines on the bottom, making 6 total. So, like I say, I already did the reading. The question is, what's the most beneficial message for viewers right here and now. Not necessarily the day it's published, just if you found this video, then what's the most important or most beneficial message for you in the present moment? And the present timeless message from the I Ching is the first hexagram is peace, and the second one is waiting or nourishment. So what I'm going to need to do is do some reading for you. So if you want, you can just relax your eyes and listen. It's important as I do so that you think about your most important, most paramount thought that's going on in your life right now, and consider the ideas in relationship to that. So what we have is the receptive earth. I don't know if you can see that. Got the receptive earth. I'm not sure if that's coming through properly, but the receptive earth is at the top. Those are the three lines at the top, which is Kun, K-U-N, and below the other three lines are the creative heaven. So the upper three lines are broken in the center. They're like a dash and a dash on either side. And then the bottom three lines, and those broken three lines are feminine. The receptive earth is the most feminine of all the trigrams. And then the three lines in the bottom are solid lines, all the same. And so this is the most masculine, the creative heaven. So I'll read as it goes. The receptive, which moves downward, stands above. The creative, which moves upward, is below. Hence their influences meet and are in harmony, so that all living things bloom and prosper. This hexagram belongs to the first month, February, March, at which time the forces of nature prepare for spring, for new spring. And so the next thing is the judgment, peace. The small departs, the great approaches, good fortune, success. This hexagram denotes a time in nature when heaven seems to be on earth. Excuse me. Heaven has placed itself beneath the earth, and so their powers unite in deep harmony. Then peace and blessing descend upon all living things. In the world of man, it is a time of social harmony. Those in high places show favor to the lowly, and the lowly and inferior, in their turn, are well disposed toward the highly placed. There is an end to all feuds. Well, that sounds pretty good. There is an end to all feuds. Well, peace, right? You wouldn't want to have a feud if you're in a state of peace. Inside, at the center, in the key position, is the light principle. The dark principle is outside. Thus, the light has a powerful influence, while the dark is submissive. In this way, Earth receives its due. When the good elements of society occupy a central position and are in control, the evil elements come under their influence and change for the better. When the spirit of heaven rules in man, his animal nature or her animal nature also comes under its influence and takes its appropriate place. The individual lines enter the hexagram from below and leave it again at the top. Here the small, weak, and evil elements are about to take their departure, while the great, strong, and good elements are moving up. So that's a good thing. The weak, small, and evil elements are just about to take their departure, while the great, strong, and good elements are moving up. This brings good fortune and success. The image, heaven and earth unite, the image of peace. Thus the ruler divides and completes the course of heaven and earth. He furthers and regulates the gifts of heaven. He furthers and regulates the gifts of heaven and earth, and so aids the people. Now, this was written in a time when we use the pronoun he quite a bit, but I'll try to substitute whenever I can he, she, but if I miss a few points, know that this can apply to both genders. It's not just to him or her. It's both genders. So here we go. Describing the image even more fully. Heaven and earth are in contact and combine their influences, producing a time of universal flowering and prosperity. This stream of energy must be regulated by the ruler of men and women. It is done by a process of division. Thus, men and women divide the uniform flow of time into the seasons, according to the succession of natural phenomena, and mark off infinite space by the points of the compass. In this way, nature, in its overwhelming profusion of phenomena, is bounded and controlled. On the other hand, nature must be furthered in her productiveness. This is done by adjusting the products to the right time and the right place, which increases the natural yield. This controlling and furthering activity of humanity in their relation to nature is the work on nature that rewards humanity. So there was a changing line, and the changing line is the 6th and the 5th place. That's the only line that changes. It's number 6 in the 5th location. And that describes it as such. The sovereign I gives his daughter in marriage. This brings blessing and supreme good fortune. The sovereign I is Tang, the completer. By his decree, the imperial princesses, although higher in rank than their husbands, had to obey them like all other wives. Here, too, we are shown a truly modest union of high and low that brings happiness and blessings. So the idea of this changing line is that even though two people from different social statuses, such as a princess from a very high social status could connect with a husband from a lower social status, but in the process, it would be important that she not go against his wishes perpetually, but to obey him, and he would be respectful of her as well. And it's a modest union of high and low that brings happiness and blessings. So that is peace. That's the hexagram of peace. And so then it changes to the hexagram of waiting and nourishment. Okay, so here we have the 3 lines on top are the abysmal water, so water on top, and then the lower 3 lines do not change. They stay the same. They are the creative heaven. So water above heaven. And here we go. All beings have need of nourishment from above, but the gift of food comes in its own time. And for this, one must wait. This hexagram shows the clouds in the heavens, giving rain to refresh all that grows and to provide mankind with food and drink. The rain will come in its own time. We cannot make it come. We have to wait for it. The idea of waiting is further suggested by the attributes of the 2 trigrams: strength within, danger in front. Strength in the face of danger does not plunge ahead, but bides its time, whereas weakness in the face of danger grows agitated and has not the patience to wait. The judgment, waiting. If you are sincere, you have light and success. Perseverance brings great fortune. Perseverance brings good fortune. It furthers one to cross the great water. Waiting is not mere empty hoping. It has the inner certainty of reaching the goal. Such certainty alone gives the light which leads to success. This leads to the perseverance that brings good fortune and bestows power to cross the great water. One is faced with a danger that has to be overcome. Weakness and impatience can do nothing. Only a strong man or a strong woman can stand up to their fate. For this inner security enables them to endure to the end. This strength shows itself in uncompromising truthfulness with himself, with herself. This strength shows itself and uncompromising truthfulness with himself and herself. It is only when we have the courage to face things exactly as they are, without any sort of self-deception or illusion, that a light will develop out of events by which the path to success may be recognized. This recognition must be followed by resolute and persevering action, for only the person that goes to meet their fate resolutely is equipped to deal with it adequately. I'll read that once more. This recognition must be followed by resolute and persevering action, for only the person that goes to meet their fate resolutely is equipped to deal with it adequately. Then they will be able to cross the great water. That is to say, they will be capable of making the necessary decisions and of surmounting the danger. The image. Clouds rise up to heaven. The image of waiting. Thus the superior being, the superior human, eats and drinks, is joyous and of good cheer. When clouds rise in the sky, it is a sign that it will rain. There is nothing to do but to wait until the rain falls. It is the same in life when destiny is at work. We should not worry and seek to shape the future by interfering in things before the time is ripe. We should quietly fortify the body with food and drink, and the mind with gladness and good cheer. Fate comes when it will, and thus we are ready. And so those are the ideas from waiting and nourishment. First peace, and then moving to waiting and nourishment. So sometimes hexagrams don't change at all. Sometimes they'll just be a singular hexagram that doesn't have any changing lines. But in this case, we have two hexagrams. We have a changing line in the first, which then leads from peace to waiting and nourishment. There's a lot of different ways that you can think about this, and I'd encourage you to listen to this reading at least one or two more times, and maybe even take some notes. Write down some of the important points to refresh your memory, and then as you proceed through your day and week and so forth, recall these ideas and see if they resonate and open up new perspectives for you. So when you have two hexagrams, you can interpret that in a number of different ways. Each hexagram can be a different perspective on the situation. It could be the first hexagram is where things are at currently, and the second hexagram is how things are going to move, how the energy is going to move into, okay? Another way of thinking about it is that the first hexagram shows you what the situation has been, what you've just moved out of or are moving out of. And it can also yield information about your state of mind. The second hexagram describes a path that may be relevant to your process. And in this particular secondary hexagram, the idea of waiting and nourishment is indicated. So let the information work upon you. Let the ideas sit with you. Again, take the time to listen to the reading more than once, perhaps two more times. And if you can, just jot down a few of the main ideas, okay? And then refer back to these ideas or listen to the reading again in a couple of days, and I can guarantee that the ideas will begin to shift for you if they haven't already, and you will discover different and unique perspectives that will help you in your current process where you're at. So this is today's, or the timeless message for this particular video. It's not related to a particular day. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're interested in a private, personalized I Ching reading of timeless messages, I do those as well. The information is in the description below. And it's based on how many questions that you ask. The pricing is based on 1, 2, 3, or 4 questions. If you don't want to ask a question, I can just do a general, what is the most beneficial information for you at this time for you to hear. So thanks again for listening. Take care. All the best.